This is the Paracave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Parramatta Leagues Club, home of the Eels, and also home of Jack's Pale Ale.
Welcome to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Paracave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. Troy Warner here, and it is the Gameday preview podcast with the Cronulla Sharks and the Parramatta Eels playing in the first game of Magic Round, round number 9, up there at Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane. Now, these two sides, the Parramatta Eels entered the competition in 1947, the Cronulla Sharks 1967, have played 97 matches with the Cronulla Sharks winning 51 and Parramatta 46 games. Now, these two sides have never played up at Suncorp Stadium, so I can't give you any stats about that one. So this will be the first time, so that'll be pretty interesting there. Parramatta don't have the best of records in Magic Round. They are 1 win, 4 losses. 2 of those have been pretty bad against Melbourne. Their only win was against the Warriors in 2021 with Jake Arthur, son of Brad Arthur, making his NRL debut and scoring a try on debut, which pretty much sealed the game for the Parramatta Eels on that occasion. Now, in terms of players that have played for both clubs, there's only a handful, to be honest. There is a few older players, but more so the names that people will remember include a couple that I have had on the podcast previously, so you can check them out in the back catalogue, that being Michael Gordon and Tim Smith. So 2 great interviews there that you can check out, but also played for both clubs, and pretty good players for both clubs as well. But other names that have played for Parramatta and the Cronulla Sharks include Josh Cordoba, Adam Dykes as well, Blake Ferguson, obviously probably the most recent retired player that has played for both clubs. Kevin Kingston, Jeremy Lattimore, John Morris, Jeff Robson, Bo Scott and Michael Speechley. And also there is one player playing in this game, there's 2 players that are playing in this game that have played for the Cronulla Sharks and also the Parramatta Eels. So one player in the Parramatta Eels side came from the Cronulla Sharks this season, that being Jack Williams, and a player now playing at the Cronulla Sharks who came from the Parramatta Eels, and that being Oregon Carfusi, one of my favourite players from back in the day when he was playing for Parramatta. Always great with the fans. Oregon. Really enjoyed his post-game chats. And even still, now that he plays for Cronulla, sometimes at CommBank Stadium after the game, he'll also chat with the fans as well. Catch up with his former teammates as well. Now, some games that these two sides have played previously include, obviously, last season's game, round 13, 34 points to 22. It was pretty much a Mitchell Moses masterclass that day. Mike Acevo got 2 tries. There is a famous try from Bailey Simonson, who was playing in this game as well on the weekend. I think it was a bit of a short side run from Mitchell Moses, and then Bailey ends up scoring in the corner. So that was a great win there in 2024. Look, the Sharks, they got one against Parramatta, 30 points to 26 in 2023. So these two sides probably have pretty sort of close games between each other. There's no real blowout scores. However, in 2019 down at Shark Park, it was then called PointsBet Stadium. It was Cronulla winning 42 points to 22. I was at that game. Kyle Flanagan was playing for the Cronulla Sharks on that occasion. I remember it was freezing cold. Always is freezing cold down at Shark Park. But Cronulla got the win there. Just trying to think of some other games, or see some other games here that on the list, thanks to a rugby league project that I can remember. And to be honest, there's not really any games that really stand out. You guys might be able to jog my memory about some games that these two clubs have played against each other, and let me know also what is your favourite Parramatta Sharks memory, what that can be. One player I did leave off that list as well was the late great John Manor as well. Now these two sides will be playing for the John Manor Cup as well, as they do each and every season. So I think Parramatta are the current holders of that. So a little bit of silverware last year. But John Manor, brother of Tim. It's always an emotional game for the family. No doubt they will be in attendance. I think it'll be up in Brisbane, so hopefully they can get up there, and hopefully they do present the trophy to the winning captain and the winning team after the game. I don't know how that will go, though, being Magic Round, as there needs to be that quick turnaround for the second game, so there may be a little quick presentation, maybe. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. Not like usually where there's a little bit of an after-match presentation, a little bit of speeches as well, so I don't think that will happen this time. Now, look, I'm going to pass the baton to Boldo from the ET Stand podcast. He was nice enough to invite me over onto his podcast for a chat about this game, and we did a little bit of a game preview where they invite opposition fans each and every week onto their podcast to do a chat, and this is the chat that I had with him. So I really hope you enjoy it. You can get a bit of a Sharks inside knowledge there, I guess you could say, from Boldo. Big Sharks fan. And he asked me for my Parramatta expertise, I guess you could say, but as a fan and a fellow podcaster as well. So I hope you really enjoy this preview that we did together. Bit of banter between each other as well, as you would expect between two opposition fans, but really good fun. Always great to catch up with fellow fans of rugby league, even if it is other fans of other teams. So check out the ET Stand podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube as well. Apple, Spotify. If the videos aren't your style, you can always catch the audio as well, as is this podcast, the Paracave podcast, on Apple, Spotify, and also YouTube as well. And you can follow the ET Stand podcast if you're a Cronulla Sharks fan, or just a general rugby league fan, on Instagram as well, and the Paracave podcast on Instagram as well. So look, I'll hand over to Boldo now, and I hope you enjoy this preview. And look, at the end of the day, the Paracave podcast, by the fan, for the fans. Go Para!
Welcome to the ET Stand podcast, the Cronulla Sharks fans podcast that lets its talking do the football. And welcome to this opposition fan preview with Troy the sometimes legend. We like him 15 weeks of the 16 weeks that we play other opposition teams that aren't the Eels. G'day, Troy. How you doing, legend?
I'm doing fantastic. Absolutely pumped for this, and thanks for the opportunity to come on the show and talk Parramatta and Sharks. Looking forward to it.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you said to me, "Oh, what do I have to talk about on your show?" And I said to you, "Troy, you're going to talk about the Parramatta Eels." It's a subject that I'm reasonably confident you're going to be able to talk about underwater. So for those that are new to listening to podcasts, we're a Sharks fans podcast. Troy is from the Para Cave podcast. Troy, how do people hear the Para Cave podcast?
Yeah, probably mostly the same places as yourselves, but Apple, Spotify. There's also on YouTube as well. The audio's on YouTube as well. So they're the three main places. But probably any other good audio podcasting outlet as well. So yeah,
all of
and
the fun.
Instagram as well. Instagram, Facebook. You'll be able to find me.
All of the fun spots. All right, well, we've got Troy on because the Sharkies take on the Parramatta Eels. I'll just cue down the Sharks music, and I'm sure you hope that that's the last time you hear the Sharks theme song this weekend. The Sharks travel to Suncorp Stadium along with the Parramatta Eels for a 6 p.m. Friday night match. The Sharks are technically the home team against a Parramatta Eels team that sits 2 points behind the Sharkies on the competition later. The Sharks are in the top 8. Parramatta Eels on for and against second last, but there's not much in it at the bottom there. So the Eels will be fancying themselves. So in to chat about this is, let's get into it, Troy. So, mate, the big news with the Parramatta Eels is obviously the return of Mitchell Moses, isn't it? And how much of a difference does he make to your team?
Well, we beat the Tigers on Easter Monday with him back in the squad. So, but yeah, look, a massive difference. Just his kicking game. It's, second to none. It's probably, if not the best in the league, right up there. Just so much more accuracy and gets us out of trouble a lot. But just his general game control as well, game management as well is a good thing as well. But and it gives the other players around him confidence as well. We've seen at the start of the year Dylan Brown struggling throughout the year, but as soon as Mitch comes back, the pressure gets released a little bit, and the players love having him back. So
he's obviously been in the headlines for signing with other teams and contract negotiations. What do you make of all that? Carry him.
Dylan Brown?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, it sort of came to a little bit of a shock to myself. I thought he'd probably stay at Parramatta, to be honest. But, obviously he's made a decision. Any other person probably would have made the same decision as well. It's a massive contract over a long period of time. To be honest, it's look, it's good for Dylan, but as a fan, it's a ridiculous contract because of the length of time. 10-year contract. We haven't seen too many very successful 10-year contracts in the league, so maybe he might break that. Yeah, it sort of played on his mind. He released it after, I think he announced it after the Melbourne game, after we got pumped by Melbourne, but then still sort of struggled, I thought, until the Easter Monday game.
Was it Jason Tamalolo's been a 10-year contract?
Yeah.
Was DCE on a 10-year? DCE was on a long-term one too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was on a long-term one as well.
Nico's on a 7-year one. A lot of Sharks fans don't like how long Nico's contract is, but they're the ones that spring to mind. All right, so the Eels form. So let's just go through this Eels form since the start of the season. So you get pumped by the Storm in round 1. Absolutely smashed. Then you lose to the West Tigers. Then you lose to the Bulldogs. Then you lose to the Seagulls. So you're 9-4 after the first 4 matches.
Yeah,
that's like a typical Eels season, isn't it?
Well,
really?
Yeah, we are a slow starter naturally, but one or two victories would have been nice.
All right, then they've got the match over the Eels beat the Dragons 20. So that was quite a fired up event with Clint Gutherson. Now, watching back the Sharks highlights versus the Eels last season, there's all the chat about how the Eels always win with Clint Gutherson, and when he's out of the team, you lose. So, are you missing Gutho?
Yes and no, I guess. Obviously he'd been there for 9 years, and you get to like a player. And he was the heart and soul of Parramatta. Gave 110, 10, 20, 30%.
Stupid move that he does, or whatever
Well,
the damn thing is.
Gutharino, we actually haven't seen that for a couple of years, I don't think. A few years. The last time I remember that was against the Gold Coast, I think, with Phil Sami, and I think Phil did it back to him after he scored a try, but...
I think he did.
Yeah, yeah, so... but look, we've got Isaiah Iongi back there at fullback now. He's an exciting prospect, so... but, yeah, I mean, you missed the king, but he's doing better and better things.
He's not the king. Wally Lewis is the king, Troy. Come on.
I know, he hates that.
He's not even the best player in your own team.
Yeah, nah, he hates that as well. That's a nickname I think that Matty Johns gave him, I think.
All right, so you get past the Dragons by a point, which was a spirited match, obviously because you've got a few players switch teams and whatnot. Then you get absolutely pumped by the Raiders, and then you take on the Tigers, who were winning the Lachlan Calvin week. So it's not like you've been in the greatest form. I think that's probably giving me a little bit more confidence. Let's go check out the team list here. So let's bring in the Parramatta team list. And Troy, I'll get you to take us through the player names and the team list here. Also, you'll just also make sure that the Sharks fans get the pronunciations correct. And I apologize, I've still got the typo in number 5, Josh Adokar. Whoops, sorry guys, I meant to fix that. Whoops.
Josh DD.
I'll take us through the team, Troy.
Okay, at fullback, Isaiah Iongi. On the wings, Bailey Simonson and Josh Adokar. In the centres, Will Penasini, Sean Russell. In the halves, Dylan Brown, Mitchell Moses. In the front row, one of your former players, Jack Williams and Junior Paolo. In number 9, hooking, is Riley Smith, a great up-and-comer. In the back row, we've got Charlie Guymer and Kitione Kotoga, and Jermaine Hopgood locks the scrum. On the reserves bench, number 14, Dylan Walker, a mid-season transfer, Luca Moretti, Matt Dury, and big young Sam Tuivasa. Coach is Jason Riles.
All right, so let's go through this team. You mentioned the fullback, so it's Iongi, not Longi. So there you go. There's another typo. This is why you do audio only, Troy, so that you don't get caught out on the damn team name with the typos. So tell us about Isaiah Iongi.
Yeah, look, he came through the Penrith system. He made his debut for Penrith in the NRL, played one game. I think it was against Newcastle. Big raps on him. Obviously stuck behind Dylan Edwards. The Parramatta opportunity came along with Gutherson moving on, and has played all games this season, and has probably been one of the shining lights so far, and he's making a real stronghold to keep that fullback position. He was under a little bit of pressure at the start of the year with Joash Papali. They were potentially vying for that spot, but Isaiah's done a great job. Just a few mistakes in his game, but he's only played 8 first-grade games.
Okay. Now, the rest of this back line, I can't say that I'm enormously familiar with numbers 2, 3, and 4. Who's worth knowing about from your centre three-quarter wingers?
Well, look, Bailey Simonson, he's just come back from a major knee injury. He's probably one of the experienced ones. We all know what Josh Adokar can do here and there. I think he's found a little bit of a new lease of life at Parramatta as well. Sean Russell, he's a good player, good solid first grader, I think, and centre is probably his position, his best position. And Will Penasini probably hasn't had the season that he has wanted to have so far, I don't think. A good defensive centre, but 22 was his best season, I think. But yet to see the best of Will this season.
All right. Well, now I'm just going to ask you. You mentioned Jack Williams, ex-Cronulla Sharks player. Much maligned. We even had a thumbnail of Jack Williams where he drops the ball and we just immediately lose the match. Is he dropping the ball for the Parramatta Eels yet, or have you not seen the Jack Williams that we know and love with the Sharks fans? What have you getting?
I think we did see a Jack unfortunately drop the ball. I think that was in the Bulldogs game, I think, previously. So, yes, we have seen that.
It was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, we have seen that a few weeks ago. He's just come back from an injury, actually. So, some Parramatta fans are predicting he'll be man of the match in this game. I don't know why. Probably because he's playing against Cronulla, I guess.
Well, they're right. He will either be the man of the match for one of the two teams. He will either be great for you guys or he will drop the ball 2 times for us and we will just hand the ball over. He had this uncanny ability. Every second week he was good. But goodness me. Oh, goodness me. He's just one of those players. The other one we used to have was Bo Scott used to always drop the ball. Sharks fans couldn't stand. Just couldn't stand Bo Scott. All right, so tell me about the makeup of this pack. Is it a big pack, small pack? What's the we see that Canterbury Bulldogs have put in a different style of more mobile forwards and are doing well with that. The Sharks are a big pack. Where do the Eels sit in that ratio?
Well, it's probably a different sized pack than what we have seen previously in Parramatta sides. Previously, Parramatta sides have been a big pack. Juniors slimmed down this year, lost 10, 15 kilos or something like that, 10, 12. But, yeah, they're pretty mobile, I think. That's the way Coach Jason Riles has gone for. So, yeah, pretty mobile, I'd say.
Yeah, right, fair enough. All right, and the bench makeup, Dylan Walker's a familiar name. A bit of an NRL journeyman these days. Where is he playing now for you guys? Is he middle forward at lock or something like that? What's he doing?
Yeah, probably a little bit like that. Just hanging around the middle, lock, can fill in at hooker if need be as well, but just adds another ball-playing option, I guess, and a little bit of spark off the bench, which we have seen in the last few weeks as well.
All right, and then Moretti, Dury and Tuivati, what are they? What positions do they play?
Yeah, well, Luca can play probably front row, second row. Dury is probably a second rower, and Sam Tuivati is an exciting prospect. Made his debut in round 1. Played, I think, last year for the under-19 New South Wales side, and he's a big unit. Big future for Sam, front rower. Scored his first NRL try against the Tigers a couple of weeks ago.
All right, fair enough. All right, now, so that's interesting bench makeup. So you don't run with a replacement hooker with Dylan Walker being your option there. And we've actually looked at this with the Sharks a couple of weeks ago with a lot of question marks around Daniel Atkinson being a replacement, really essentially a 5'8" half and utility outside back to a lesser degree means that we've got Blake Rayleigh paying 80 minutes. Do you like your team to have Riley Smith playing 80 minutes as the hooker, or do you want a replacement hooker on the bench? Where do you fall on that ongoing discussion?
Yeah, well, look, for the first, I think it was 6 weeks of the competition, Riley was coming off the bench and was getting about...
I remember noticing that.
Yeah, 50 or so minutes. Parramatta fans were calling for him to start the game. The game against the Tigers, he started the game, played 80. I think in that game he's a tackling machine. I think he missed about 7 tackles, so whether that was because of playing the 80 minutes... But previous to that, when he was coming off the bench, I think Jermaine Hopgood was playing a bit of hooker, or dummy half anyway. And so that probably is not the right thing. But I think Riley can play the 80 minutes. He's only done it once in NRL, so again, something else that he'll need to get used to. But I'm pretty sure he's capable of it. He set training records back in the pre-season.
Well, Parramatta Eels, it wouldn't be hard to set training records. Wouldn't I be able to set training records with the Parramatta Eels?
Gutho was the one who held some of those records, and Riley just come out and beat him. Apparently, he's pretty talented cricketer too. Apparently, I think it's cricket. Represented schoolboys in cricket, I think. Riley. So
well, maybe he can pass on some of his cricket ball catching skills to Jack Williams for you. All right, let's chat about your coach, Jason Riles. Look, I probably wouldn't want to choose Jason Riles for the Sharks coach, but look, he is a pretty prominent Dragon. So we're probably a little bit biased against Jason Riles. What did you make of that appointment originally, and has your opinion changed now?
Yeah, it was interesting. It's always interesting when a brand new NRL coach comes into a role, and such a role as important as Parramatta, being a big club, and obviously having that premiership drought for so long. Brad Arthur had been there for 11 years before that, so he was coming into some pretty big shoes, I guess. Look, I probably didn't really know a lot about Jason and his coaching style, other than he'd been the assistant coach at Melbourne and the Roosters. Since the last few weeks and months that have gone past, and just listening to him speak, I think he's pretty switched on and he knows what he's doing. I think at the start of the year he did say that, look, it's for Parramatta fans to not get disappointed if it doesn't happen straight away. It will take time to work because he's a new coach. There's new players in the team. But I think he's done a really good job with the culture and connection at the club as well. And that's with old players coming in, families coming in as well. And I think there's a really good vibe around the place with Jason there. So he was pretty happy the other week when he got his first away win anyway against the Tigers.
I'm sure he was. Well, I guess giving you an observation of my take on Jason Riles and the Eels. I think this season we've seen the bottom of the ladder catch up to the middle of the ladder a little bit. And so the gap between where the Eels and the Sharks might have been last season is certainly less than it was in previous seasons. You're not far off in terms of the culture and what you can do. There's a few gaps in your team. Your outside backs don't look as brainstorming as the Sharks ones, and you probably use a bigger forward or two that are. But, it's managing salary cap and whatnot. But goodness me, your halves connection, Mitchell Moses, quality player. And he's better than, like I've said it before, Mitchell Moses is better than Nico. So if you've got Mitchell Moses, you're a good NRL team. So I think the only way is up for you guys. But as I just mute myself for a cough for a second, Troy, hold on. There we go. For the benefit of those on visual, they got to see me cough and me gross for a second. Yeah, I think the Eels are on the way back, which I think is encouraging. But I also heard you say, Jason Riles asked the Parramatta fans to be patient. I'm like, well, they're a pretty patient bunch of characters. Goodness me, you've been waiting almost 40 years since your last premiership. Goodness me.
Yeah, no, it is hard to hear that. That is for sure, because we always want that premiership success and we want it now. Look, I guess looking at it and listening to him, I think you have to understand that, it is going to take time, but we did see at the start of the year, obviously the start wasn't too good. The next week was a little bit better, and it was slowly getting better and better until that win against the Dragons, and then went back down again against the Raiders, but got back up against the Tigers again. But yeah, you're right. The only way is up, and when you finish second last year, or third last.
Tigers are better now too, Troy.
That's right.
The Tigers are better.
That's right.
I reckon the Tigers are top 8 bound. Now look, we're talking about premiership droughts, and the good news for you is that the North Sydney Bears, or the Bears NRL club, are returning to the NRL, which means that the longest premiership drought will no longer be the Parramatta Eels. It will be the Bears club. So that must be good news for you. Congratulations on at least getting that off the top.
Yeah, that's unreal news. Look, hoping to win a comp before, what is it, 2027, I think. So hoping to win one before then. You never know. And then it'll be the Raiders, I think, who have that drought. But when they come in the competition, if we haven't won a comp, that'll be great news, because theirs is about 100 years, isn't it?
103 years or something like that. All right. Well, look, we've talked on the Para team. Let's run through the Sharks team, and I'll give you a rundown on the Sharkies team, and you can clip this one for your podcast if you want to give it the whole one, you can. All right, the Sharks team to take on the Eels. The Sharks are 4 from 4 this season We're missing a couple of players. We're still a pretty strong team. So William Kennedy, who is the form player of the NRL at fullback, is he the form player of the NRL? Or are the rest of the Shark players just not playing that well? And so he keeps getting all the daily M points. Don't know. Make your own assessment. Sam Stone-Street, the young winger who has just an ability to find the try line, is one winger. Ronaldo Mulatalo, who has carved up the Eels in the past with long-range tries, teaming up with Kennedy, is the other winger. The centres are Jesse Ramian, and the KL Iro is the new name update for Kyle Iro. He's decided to just take the initials of his name. The halves are Braden Trindle and Nico Hines. A forward pack led by Aiden Fanua-Blake. Oregon Kafusi, the former Eel, is the other front rower. Blake Brayley is the dummy half hooker in the team. And then the back row is missing Teague. So we've got Britton Nikora, Billy Burns, Cameron McInnes captains the Sharks, with a bench of Daniel Atkinson, Siosifa Talakai, Braden Hamlin-Ueli, and Thomas Hazelton. Giving you the quick rundown on key elements of this team, Troy, for the simulcast that we'll do. It is a big forward pack for the Sharkies. And with Fanua-Blake and Kafusi and McInnes all playing a reasonable amount of minutes, we actually don't need the fourth forward and haven't been playing that. And so Daniel Atkinson is a bit of a luxury that we've been using. Talakai, Hamlin-Ueli and Hazelton are big dudes that we bring on for the middle 40 minutes. So we tend to take off Kafusi first, then Fanua-Blake, then Cam McInnes. And then it's typically, we're missing Toby and a couple of others. But yeah, Talakai and Hamlin-Ueli and Hazelton will play those middle 40 minutes of the match. And then we finish with Fanua-Blake and Kafusi. It's a pretty difficult team to deal with. Goodness me, he's been brilliant for us, Aiden Fanua-Blake. But the Sharks forwards in many ways are maybe they're getting a little bit complacent with Fanua-Blake in the team. And then the Sharkies are definitely missing Sione Katoa on the wing. So while Sam Stone-Street can find the try line, his ability and the hit-ups in returning are getting us out of trouble in our own end. We're certainly missing those. And Kyle Iro's been injured for a few weeks, and he's in very good form, actually. So he was getting 200-metre, 200-yard games. So Sharks are in okay form. We were a little bit unlucky to lose against the Raiders. Blew it last week against the Tigers. And we're obviously in it against the Panthers. So, if we did a simulation of the season again, it's conceivable that we could have been on 7 wins out of 8, but we're not. We're on 4 out of 4. We're a bit tired from travelling around all of the
done some yards.
Las Vegas and Perth and here and there. So we're a bit knackered. So we're now going for something. We haven't had a home game for weeks. So that's the Sharkies team coming in. Keep an eye out if you're looking for bets on players to score. Maybe Billy Burns might be a good bet. He's a little bit more mobile than Teague. He'll be a bit longer odds. And then Ronaldo looks to be back in form. And so he might be a good try-scoring bet too.
Just don't tap him on the face. He might claim a high tackle.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. He was tapped on the face. Goodness me, what do you want him to do? It hurt. Don't you bloody go slagging off my Ronaldo Mulatalo, Troy. All right, so I've given you my quick rundown on the Sharkies. When you look at the Sharks team, who stands out for you and who scares you?
Oh, look, I mean, obviously the main one, I guess, as you mentioned before, Aiden Fanua-Blake. We know what he can do. Parramatta will have to sort of minute his meter eaters and his quick play the balls. But Will Kennedy at the back there, as you said, he's leading the Dally M's at the moment. Our kick chase defence will have to be on song because he can break tackles, and once he breaks tackles, he generally runs a long way as well. So he's one player to watch at the back there. I think, probably Oregon will probably have a big game against his old club because we all know that players love playing against their old clubs. It's just natural, but probably those two are probably the ones that probably stand out for me. I guess all the pressure will be on Nico and Braden again, up against Dylan. And
always pressure on Nico, mate. Always.
Yeah, some of it. Look, I must admit, some of it warranted, some of it not warranted. I thought, especially last week against the Tigers, there was a few opportunities there where I thought they could have taken the field goal a little bit earlier than the 5th tackle. But
could have.
That's the pressure of the number 7 spot, isn't it?
Yeah, the decision-making of the Sharks is at times questionable at best. Let's just say that. All right, look, the Sharkies, they take on the Eels in what's called the Johnny Manor Cup.
Yes.
Johnny Manor was a player that played for both the Cronulla Sharks and the Parramatta Eels and was sadly taken from this world too soon. We actually watch back on our show. We have an episode series we do called Classic Cronulla Chronicles where we go back and look at past matches. Johnny was such a terrific player and just had this, you know, when you watch these rugby league players, you feel like you know them, but he was just he's just a beautiful soul, Johnny Manor, and when we used to watch him. So it is a little bit of a tinge of sadness when we play the Eels, and obviously he's a player who played for both teams. You have a memory of Johnny Manor playing for the Eels, mate?
Oh, not really, to be honest. I don't think he played that too much for Parramatta, but...
a season or two, wasn't it?
Yeah, before he made the move to Cronulla. But you're right, he was just one of those blokes that everyone loved having around, and it was just like his brother. I mean, gave everything, and unfortunately his career got cut short. And it was a terrible tragedy. But actually, it's probably, I guess, a little bit weird, but one of my favourite memories was the first time, I think it was, that these two sides played each other at Parramatta Stadium, and it was after John had passed, and instead of a minute's silence, it was a minute's applause, which I thought was a really nice touch. Instead of being silent, it was a minute's applause. So I thought that was a really nice
I remember that. I think I was at that one. That was quite a nice touch at the time. So
it was, and it's an emotional day, emotional game for the family as well. No doubt they'll be up there on Friday, presenting the John Manor Cup as well, I guess.
To the winning captain. All right, we mentioned to Cameron McInnes. We'll see what happens. We mentioned Johnny Manor. I have my all-time favourite Shark Eel, which is Adam Dykes. I just thought he was such a creative, fun player. Mate, who was your all-time favourite Eel Shark?
Yeah, look,
played for both teams.
Yeah, look, I had a look before. There's been many that have played. I do like Oregon as well when he was at Parramatta. I didn't particularly want him to leave, but I thought Tim Smith. He really set the world on fire in his first season, 2005. Played a good couple of years there. Then went over to England and then came back and played for Cronulla. Had a year or two there, but just probably could have given so much more. But I had him on the podcast.
There are a couple of moments for him with the Sharks, where he got us a couple of wins, 2009 and whatnot. Just couldn't quite get there. I tell you that Tim Smith 2005 Parramatta Eels team that lost 29-0 against the Cowboys. Was it Cowboys or Storm?
Yeah, Cowboys, Thanks for the reminder.
Cowboys.
Yeah, thanks.
You were bloody unlucky in that game, and Luke Burt drops an intercept at 0-0, or misses an intercept, and if he catches it, he runs the length of the field, and you're up 6-0. And I'm convinced that history is different, and the Eels might have made the grand final that year if Luke Burt catches that ball. And while it's just, we got pumped 29-0, it wouldn't have made any difference. I'm telling you, first try, every try, just changed the momentum, and there's momentum swings in the matches. Poor old 2005 Eels team don't get heralded the way that they perhaps should. Now, I've got something for you. We actually did a video ranking the NRL halfbacks of all time that are premiership winners since 1980.
Right.
To see where Nico Hines would have landed if he was to win a premiership. And so I ranked them. We kind of do this thing called Boldo's tiers, where I rank all the players and put them in tiers.
Yep.
So I'm going to show you my tiers list here as I switch to which view do I want. I think I want that view. There we go. So modern day NRL premiership winning halfbacks. And so this is where I landed on the ranking. So that for the benefit of those without the visuals on screen, we've got the bottom tier of Chad Townsend, Paula Mounter and Shane Perry, Hornby and Craig Wing. And I put funny names with them, so that's why they're even halfbacks. So they're the lowest rated halfbacks according to me on the premiership winners, and I would put Nico if we won in and around those. So as you move up, you've got the the Manly guys, you've got Mitchell Pearce and Brandy and all this sort of. But as we move to the top, you've got I've got Turvey and Kevin Walters on what I'm calling on the fourth tier. I've got the recency bias on the next tier of Thurston, Cronk, Johns, and Cleary. Then I've got the Super League 2 above them of Langer and Stewart because they were absolutely brilliant, and I don't think they get heralded the way that they perhaps should. Those two teams created Super League. And then actually of the modern day winning halfbacks, I say that Sterlo is the smartest and is the best of the halfbacks. So I thought I'll just show you that list, and I'm sure you would appreciate that. Tell me why Sterlo is the greatest modern day winning halfback, and do you agree with my rankings of the halfbacks there, Troy?
Oh, well, Sterlo's number one, so yeah, obviously I do agree with your rankings there, but yeah, just look, such a smart footballer. I guess his kicking game was second to none again. Not like Mitchell today where it wasn't a big kicking game, it was probably a smarter kicking game. Like he always says that Jack Gibson used to tell him to kick it to the seagulls, which he did, which was a space. But look, 4-time premiership winner, I think 2-time Dally M Player of the Year winner, Rothman's Medal winner. He's done a lot, but also after he retired as well, just his smarts that you used to listen to on Channel 9 and during his commentary as well. It was almost as if he was coaching from the commentary box, and he was always a play ahead, even 2 plays ahead of what was going to happen. So, some would say that he could be in line for immortality. And I wouldn't say no to that either if that was to be the case.
Well, as a 4-time premiership winning halfback in the dominant team of the 80s, you'd have to say he was pretty good. Now, it is a shame that he never coached a team, and I think that was one of his regrets, but he was just such a good flavour commentator with Channel 9, and I think also his stuff with Fatty on the Footy Show for that 10 years or whatever it was also very good. So there's a legend of the game and well respected. And top of Boldo's NRL halfback tiers. I'll link the NRL halfback video at the end of this video, and you can link it and go in and have a look for those for the benefit of watching on video, and I'll link it in the bio for all of the audio ones. All right, mate. So the Sharkies are taking on the Eels. Give us a tip. Why do the Sharks win by 13 plus?
Well, if they do that, they might have the referee on their side, or Parramatta might have like 3-4 players sin bin if that's going to be the case. But with the sin bin crackdown, but that's not going to happen. Apparently, Andrew Abdo said that's not going to happen. So, Parramatta will win 24-20. I think. I think, luckily, I just checked the weather report. I think it'll be cloudy but sunny, no rain. But the other days on the weekend will be raining. So, and one of the other advantages is this game is the first game of Magic Round as well. Unlike in previous years, Parramatta has been playing on the Sunday, one of the last games on a Sunday. So, good that it's on a Friday, the first game. 24-20. Will be the score.
All right, according to you.
According to me. According to me.
13, Sharks 13 plus, mate. Looking at the look, it's a split. Sharks versus where are my little form guide? Yeah, we lost last year, and boy, was our podcast annoyed after that. But
well, that was the Mitchell Moses. Losses. That was the Mitchell Moses masterclass when he came back, I think, from injury.
It was the Mitchell Moses masterclass. Look, I just think next week just can't come soon enough for the Sharks after just blowing it against the Tigers. So I think we're going to beat you, but we'll see. It's always, you never know with the Sharks. Whenever we're favourites, we can lose. So that can certainly happen. All right, mate. Well, thanks for coming in. Thanks for those that have gotten this far. This has been longer opposition fan previews we've done, Troy. It's good fun.
I can waffle on, mate. I can waffle on. Don't worry.
No, well, you've reasonably expertise on Parramatta Eels, so I'd expect nothing less. All right, so this was the ET Stand podcast, the opposition fan preview. We will be live right after full time for the debrief, hopefully talking through a Sharks win. Goodness me, I don't know if I can talk through another Sharks loss, but we'll see how we go. Troy, thank you for coming on, mate. We will catch up with you soon, hopefully for a playoffs match or something later in the season. Who knows?
Definitely. No worries. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, cool. All right, guys, we'll catch you next time. That was the ET Stand Opposition Fan Preview, Sharks versus Eels.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. See you next time.